because you never have to prune them. They keep growing and blooming all summer long. So they're reblooming, and get that beautiful blue color will always be blue. There's no amending of the soil. And the beautiful pink color will always be pink. There's no amending of the soil there either. If you are a newer gardener, you can have hydrangea. If you live in the colder places around here, you can have hydrangea. And these, you can't find anywhere else. I challenge you, Google them. Look how big the blooms are. They're as big as Devin's head.
He's got a big head.
Well, and they're even bigger than his head. And so it's amazing to be able to have these lining. I mean, that looks like a resort. You can have these shrubs in your, all the way down a walkway in front of a fence that isn't the prettiest fence. Or if you don't have space outside, if you don't have a garden, put them in the pots that are our other Today's Special Value and have them on a patio or have them on a deck. You are getting two, the beautiful pink, the beautiful blue. They will always stay that color without you having to do anything. And they're the most sought after colors, and they will always stay that color. Now, we had these last year. They completely sold out, blew out. They were separate, and they were $20 each. Our Today's Special Value, you're getting one of each, and it works out to $15 each. A $7.50 charge on a credit card, shipping to you for free when it is time to plant in your zone, once we're past that possible frost. This is our only order of the year. M134534 is your item number. Derek Wallin is here, and
Hi,
it's so good to see you. Good to see you. I love these. They're so, okay, I get very excited because I'm a novice, even though I've been trying for like 5 years, and succeeding gardener.
Great,
so
yeah.
I have lots of questions, and I was just asking them. I'm going to ask them for you too, though, because a lot of you have probably heard of hydrangea, or you've tried to grow them before, or tried to get that color and you just couldn't do it. That is a real beautiful, big as your head hydrangea, and you're gonna have it this year because it's already been growing for you.
That's true. You know, I love everything that you intro this hydrangea with, and I want to repeat. In 27 years, you know, we've been at QVC a very long time. We've never had a hydrangea as a Today's Special Value because there was never one that was good enough. We felt like you either had, you know, to do all this pruning, or you had to modify the soil to get the right color. We thought that's too complicated. Well, now we have the very perfect hydrangea, because the fact is you're getting the blue and the pink. There's nothing you have to do to make them that color. You know, a lot of people as gardeners, we think, oh, hydrangeas are hard.
Right.
I got to prune them. I got to modify the soil. Your blues are going to stay blue for decades. Your pinks are going to stay pink for decades. And as you mentioned, these are the most sought after colors in the world of hydrangeas and gardening. Blue is the rarest color of any flower in the world. Of any flower, any there's only a handful of truly blue flowers in the world, and this is one of them.
It was my wedding, my bouquet flower was a blue hydrangea. My husband put it together for me, and so it means so much to me. They are my favorites, and my mom, I wanted them in our garden. My mom has a green thumb. She got one as a gift. She planted it. It was this beautiful blue. I was like, oh, those are the blues for my wedding. And then it turned pink, and we were like,
yep, that's usually what happens.
And I talked to these guys, and they were like, oh, well, you have to amend the soil with acid. And I was like, what does that mean? I don't want to have to do any of that. Plus, these continue to bloom and bloom and bloom, and we're going to explain that. But this is how they're coming to you. They've already you've already done a year's worth of work for us.
We've already done a year's worth of growth for you. I want to show you. You're getting 2 plants. That's huge. You know, these 2 healthy farm fresh plants we've been growing for over a year. They've already gone through their first winter. And I'm going to put one down because I really want to point out, you'll notice the name here. It's the Onyx Mophead. Now, why do we have the word onyx there? See this stem? Isn't that interesting? It's a beautiful mahogany rich color. That is not typical for any hydrangea. This is a very special cultivar. It goes into the breeding and the genetics that makes these stems very dark mahogany. Now, we love that look because the contrast with these beautiful baby blues and these beautiful
It's like designer.
Pinks. Yes, it's exactly right. There's no other hydrangea in the world that has those dark, beautiful, slender stems topped with these most rare sought after colors in the world. And that's why this is truly a today's special value quality hydrangea.
And last year we had them. Same one, the Onyx, and look them up. You can't find them anywhere. Nobody has them. If they did have them, they're sold out right now. So we're really one of the only places you can get these, at least in the US. They were $20 each, and you had to choose which color you got. So most people were getting two, and they were spending over $40 for the two.
That's right.
You're getting the two today, no choice, and you're spending $15 each. We're gonna ship them to you for free in the zone. When you'll get them when it is time to plant them in your zone. And the other thing about these are they re-bloom. So can you explain the new, well, and this is how big they will be the first?
Yes, well, so
right?
I will get into what you were asking about.
The
but
new
I wanted
wood
to
and old
show
wood.
you that this plant I have, okay, so this is what you get home. This in my hand here, this is first year growth. Now look at how beautiful that is, and honestly look at the size of these flowers. These are extra large mophead or snowball flowers, and I love to point that out because you don't even see that many leaves.
I know, it's
all
so
you see is flat. Like, I wish this was my bed. I could go lay in it.
I know, right?
It looks so cozy, but these flowers, they're also on super strong stems. Look at that. I'm not gonna break these.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about some storm that's coming. You're
Exactly.
like, oh no, my hydrangea will be gone.
That's right. So these have been bred to have these extra strong stems that make sure that during rain and all that, nothing is going to happen.
Can we see this stem? Now this is about 2 or 3 years in, right? But like, look at that stem. It's, I mean, it's like thicker than my finger. And that usually they're never this color, and they're more thin, so they can flop over. And now here we're gonna just give you, I mean, it's going to come to you like this. If we're putting them outside, okay, well, here's our today's special value
They will
pot.
definitely be outside, but in the ground versus the container.
in the ground versus the container,
yes.
thank
Well,
you.
and I wanna speak to your question about old wood versus new wood. So the majority of hydrangeas is this whole mind game that you have to go at some point in springtime before the first frost or after the first frost to prune your hydrangeas to ensure that you're going to get flowers on that last year's growth. This changes the game. You don't have to do any pruning at all because, and I really hope you guys can see here, my finger, what I'm pointing out, this is last year's growth. You'll see it's very woody and it's changed its appearance from above. So this last year's growth is called old wood. Now these sprout these stems here and they will bloom first in early summer. But then if I turn this around, I've got all these new shoots coming from the base. These new shoots are called new wood. These will bloom also this year in midsummer. So you're gonna get a continuous flow of flowers on the old and new growth.
Right.
And what's great is, let's say we get a cold late frost in 2 weeks from now, your hydrangeas have already started budding on that old growth wood. Well, a traditional hydrangea, it's gonna kill those buds. You have no flowers for the whole year.
For that whole year, you have to wait until the next
Exactly.
year.
This, however, because it blooms on new and old growth, even if your old growth buds got frozen from some late frost, you're gonna get all the blooms with the new growth. And that's what we love about this. It's the easiest, hands down, low maintenance plant there ever was. Now, let's plant this. Okay, we've got our planter here. You can do these in containers because these only get 3.5 feet tall, 4 max, and about 2 feet wide.
So it's the perfect match with our today's special value of the self-watering planter. You're getting 2 of those. You're getting 2 of the hydrangea for less than $100. And then you don't have to worry about keeping them watered because it's in the name, hydrangea. They need water.
Good point. I never thought about that. Now, it took me 2 seconds. You just pop it right out of the container.
Sorry, I kept talking and then we were done planting.
It's okay.
So you
once
plant
you get
all the way
that in
up
there,
to...
just right at the top level of the soil.
Okay.
There's nothing else you have to do. Now, we do recommend, we love our acid booster. Now, not because your blues will turn pink or pinks will turn blues, not for that reason.
Right.
But if you use the Roberta's acid booster, we have found that your blues will be more blue and your pink will be more pink than they were without. Right. That being said, you do not need the acid booster because the genetics of this hydrangea
But I always say, set yourself up for success.
Yes.
It's like $8 on Easy Pay to add that on.
Yes, but they will produce these lovely blues and pinks without any help from your side. Let's look at these photographs.
They're
Here it is.
beautiful.
That's first year growth in a container. the flowers are massive. I mean, they're bigger than the plant itself.
Right.
And look at those beautiful onyx-colored stems.
That is designer. That's what the designers use.
That's exactly right. Now here, this is total mature growth. That's one plant. That's at its height at about 3 years old. Look at it in that mixed bed. You've got bee balm, you've got some lavender, but I love this because it takes the cake, it steals the show for the whole garden. And that's gonna carry those blooms from early summer through fall. Now my brother, with his big head, those hydrangeas are even bigger.
Even bigger.
That means something. There's some proportions for you there. You can see just how big they really are. We didn't need a ruler to show you. But the fact is, that is your garden. You know, that's probably third season growth. But I love these because each year they get bigger and better, and they'll last for decades.
And that's the thing. I mean, a lot of people, you know, they spend this on an annual to get that color, to get that beauty. This comes back over and over and over again. It's like it pays for itself. And the fact that, number one, they are hard, Roberta's brings us hard to find, done on that one. Look up Onyx Hydrangea, Mophead Hydrangea, you won't find them. Number two, easy to grow. So that's why you've never given us the hydrangea before, because it was a little work. You had to be a more experienced gardener to know when to prune, to know how to amend the soil. It's been 27 years. You've never done a hydrangea Today's Special Value
now
until
we have the
this
perfect one.
Because it's easy.
It's the easiest.
It reblooms. Even, I mean, you're going to be tempted to cut some of those and maybe make a bouquet or bring one in. You need to bring one in a vase, and that gives you the whole bouquet.
That kind of pruning, that's fine. You can do that for fun.
Is fine. But the thing is, if they only bloomed once,
you wouldn't even want to.
You wouldn't want to, because there would only be the foliage left, and it is pretty foliage, but you want to see the color. Now, they will go through different colors. They start out kind of like a lime green, right?
So when they're very, very young flowers, they do start out sort of like a lime green, but then as they grow, they transform. There's the blue and the pink side by side. I love that look because that is your garden. Again, notice the dark stems, which you won't find in any other hydrangea. Now here's the thing. Typically we think Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, that's where we're gonna see hydrangeas like this. You can have this from zones 5 to 9. That's minus 20 below zero.
Wow.
Most of the country is gonna be able to grow these without any effort at all. I love having them in containers. I also love having them in the ground. But you can see, like, what we have here in front of us, second year growth. And down here in the smaller containers was first year growth.
So when will we see the blooms? Does it depend on where we live?
Well, so early summer.
Okay.
So that's that old year, or the old growth from the previous year will bloom first in early summer, and then the new growth for this year will bloom midsummer. And I want to point out something that I forgot to mention when we were doing the potting example is these flowers, these are dried. So what's fun about this is that after the season's over, they retain their color. You can simply cut them off as long as you want and then bring them indoors, and now you have beauty all winter long too, inside the house. And that's what's so fun about these.
And they don't look dried. You know how sometimes they get brown? Like, they keep the color. That just looks like a darker one of the, it looks like it's alive.
Exactly, that's right.
I'm thinking of, okay, so in our house, we drive up and there's a fence that I just noticed yesterday actually was not the prettiest. How about these in front of that fence? And you know, the first year, of course, we're gonna get the color. We're gonna get about the size that you're seeing here. The next year, they'll get even a little bit bigger. But then by the third year, they will cover that whole entire fence.
Exactly
and the pink blue would be so pretty.
Gosh. And at this
how far apart should we
yeah.
plant it if we're doing it in the ground?
I would say at least 2.5 feet, because they are going to get about 2.5 feet tall. Now I'm holding this flower because you mentioned they start out kind of green. This is how they start out. They do have these tips of blue, but they mostly start out green, and that could be with the pinks too. And then as they grow over time, then they become this color, which is like this beautiful baby blue. And then as those flowers mature, then they darken even more, and then they become the true complete blue.
I'll be right back.
Yes.
You're like, where are you going?
That is what is so awesome about these. Now here's the thing, with the pinks also, hydrangeas, people typically think they're gonna get whites or they're gonna get some green hydrangeas. We've got the rarest, most sought after colors in the hydrangea world, on the easiest hydrangea plants to grow because no pruning is necessary, no amending the soil for